Hello and welcome to The Room Went Dark. And we thought we'd just do a little meet the hosts. So I'm Lorraine and I'm here with Amelie. Hello, Amelie.
Emily. Hello. Yes, that's me.
And we just thought we'd give a little insight as to why we wanted to do this particular podcast. So I'm going to ask you first, put you on the spot. Like,
Great.
what was it about this particular topic? Because we did talk about just doing true crime, which you weren't really overly keen about. So why was it the film aspect with true crime TV documentaries that interested you?
Well, I do watch a lot of true crime documentaries,
Mm,
and there's a few people on YouTube that I watch doing their channels where they talk
yeah.
about true crime. Um, but there's also quite a lot I don't as well at the same time. Um, and I guess I think because whilst I like watching a lot of true crime documentaries and films on TV, I wouldn't class myself as someone that really knows that much. It's like
Okay.
when someone asks you like, "Oh, are you good with Excel?" And you're like, "Well, how long is a
I've
piece of
never,
string?"
I've
Do
never
you know what I
heard
mean?
it. Serial killers exhale.
But you know what I mean, don't you? Like
Yeah.
it's such a universe that I
Yeah.
could not, I wouldn't, I couldn't honestly say, oh yeah, I'm really into true crime because then I would chat to you and I'd be like, no, I'm absolutely not because Lorraine's way more into it than I am. So I think for me, it's the psychological aspect because you know this about me, but I'm a trained therapist,
Yeah.
not currently in practice at the moment for this
Yeah.
year. Taking a bit of time off to do a fancy podcast. Um, and I also, I mean, I love watching films. I love watching horror films, which I actually didn't used to when I was
Okay.
sort of in my sort of teens. It was too much for me. I really couldn't.
Did you find them too scary?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I became a therapist and realized that people were awful. Very joking. But I don't know. I think you just sort of get to an age where you're like, oh, it's not, I'm
Yeah.
just not, nothing really particularly scares me
You've
anymore.
seen
You
a
can
lot
tell
at that,
I've
you know,
seen
not
a
that
lot
you're
at this point.
like really
Yeah.
old or anything, but
Well, no, but you do,
hmm.
and particularly in the jobs that I've had, you do hear a lot and you think, my goodness. So it kind of takes off that rose-tinted glasses uh lens that you sort of have in your teens, I guess, your late teens. And I love listening to Empire podcast. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite podcasts to listen to. We've been to see them, haven't we?
Yeah.
Went to a live show once. Um, and yeah, so I guess we got chatting about it,
Yeah.
and I sort of said, what I'd really love to do is blend the two. And you were like, well, I've been wanting to do this for ages.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
do it.
definitely. I think because it's kind of when I got into it, horror movies obviously have always been a big thing. I kind of got into horror movies I got into horror movies before I watched a horror movie, which is a bit strange. So
Okay.
I used to go to the video shop where I lived and I used to go to the horror section. I was too young. I was single digits. Like I was really young. This was early 80s, so I was about 7 or 8, 9. Um, and I would always take off um, uh, zombie flesh eaters, Lucio Fulco's zombie flesh eaters, and I would look at it, and I used to dream about it, and I was always looking at horror stuff. And then eventually, my parents watched like The Omen and Amityville and Jaws and all this kind of stuff, and I proper got into it. Like I was into it before I was 10 with horror films, and with the true crime. I was probably, because I know it was before I moved to Ireland in 1988. So it was probably around 12 when I
Hmm.
got into the true crime, maybe 11, 12. But obviously, we didn't have it like the way we have it now with the podcasts and everything.
Yeah.
But I remember being obsessed with films about Jack the Ripper. I was like, I need to watch this, and I didn't really understand what I was watching. Like when you're a child, you don't. And then I went
Yeah.
through that phase. I used to get this magazine when I was a bit older. It came out, I think, in the 90s, Murdering Mind. and it was all serial killers. And I remember being that idiot that thought I was cool because I was into serial killers. Like it was all very childish when I first got into it because I was very young, you know. And people would be like, "Oh my God, you're like so cool because you're into serial killers," and I'd be like, "Yeah," but I wasn't. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas now, obviously, and as I got older, I realized, oh my God, this is actually people's lives, and I'm sitting here being quite dismissive of it. But it was just immaturity and being young. Um, and then I kind of in the 90s, kind of going into my 20s, I really kind of got into the true crime properly, having just dabbled in it in my teens. And
Dabbled.
yeah. And then it's just, and it is one of those things where, like, I very much know more about serial killers than kind of the other kind of thing, like the single cases, but I'm a lot more, I listen to a lot more of that now. And you just said there when you were talking about how, you know, you thought you were into it until you hear someone like me into it. But then I do that sometimes with people. I
Mm,
don't think it's about, yes, I am very into it and I do have a lot of knowledge about a lot of it, but there's so much out there that I know nothing about,
sure.
and
Yeah, yeah.
I could talk to people who know lots about other cases. And the worst thing is about this topic is that there's always cases, whether it's your husband's killed or your wife's killed someone or a serial killer or children or, killing people. It doesn't matter that unfortunately there's a lot of content,
There is.
you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Well, but human beings are human beings, and
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
things do unfortunately happen.
And
Um,
it's,
yeah. But it's the
but I,
psychology behind it all, isn't it?
yeah,
I think part of it is and especially for me is the I mean, fascination is not quite the right word, but there's fascination at least with the psychology around
yeah.
how does someone go from this seemingly okay child, which quite often actually isn't the case,
Yeah, but
to
sometimes it is like, do you
but
know what I
sometimes
mean?
it is,
So,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I just, I find it interesting. It is interesting stuff, but and I imagine absolutely that's what kind of led me towards the areas of work that I have previously.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
I mean, I do have regrets in some of the things I didn't do. Like I have always been a big movie buff. So I did a film degree and then I've always been into like the true crime thing. So my postgrad was criminology and criminal psychology. But then I had
Mhm.
my child and I didn't pursue it. Like, do you know what I mean? And it is something that kind of, so this for me, and I do like the combination because there are a lot of true crime podcasts out there that are just true crime and they're great. I listened to quite a few and they're really good, but I didn't know what we could add. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I really
Yeah.
didn't know what we could add. And I thought with this, it kind of gives you a bit of both because some of the stuff, like you'll see with some of the episodes we do. So, like, I found like when we talked about Monster, which is actually going to be our first episode, is there's so much there in relation to the film, but we're going to do Scream. And it's kind of just like, Kevin Williamson saw a thing about Danny Rowlands and thought, oh, there's an idea. It's not about Danny Rowlands. He just saw this and it gave him an idea. So there's kind of such extremes where some of them are blatantly like, oh my God, it's almost like word for word. And others are like, okay, someone's
Yeah.
name was mentioned and you came up with this idea. And yeah, that's fine. And I think that's the good thing about doing this is kind of seeing how these horrific stories land when someone puts them into film or TV or documentary or something.
Well, because it's interesting to see how they produce it and film it, and how it's portrayed, how it's portrayed as well, because there are films that will, there's a sense of, not wanting to glorify, or because some films do,
Mm,
and those are the kind of things that we probably will, you know discuss and
come
have
across,
comments
yeah.
about. And
Yeah.
I mean, you will probably know a bit more about the film side of things than I will. I don't. Well, actually, no. I always think that. So me and Lorraine know each other through my husband, who is Lorraine's
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
and they met at uni. And Steve did film at uni,
Yeah.
which is completely not what he does now. But I always assumed that you did film. You didn't, did you?
I did do film.
You did do film. I
I
thought
did the
you
same
did.
I did the same course as Steve. We just might have done some different topics.
Oh God,
There
oh
was
yeah, I
yeah,
can
that's the only
imagine
thing.
that. Steve with his, black and white. It's like, yeah, yeah, I won't go into it.
Yeah, so yeah, but he yeah, that's yeah, so I did the film degree as well. That's yeah, that's how I met him. Um
Yeah, so you'll have a better understanding of, particularly around maybe like the lingo around how
Not
films
necessarily, do you
are.
know what? I mean, it was a long time ago. I finished in
Yeah, okay.
2010. But do you know what? I think with film, because I was so into it before it, it's just the film degree gives you a kind of different look on things. But
Yeah,
I don't think you need, a degree to do a film podcast or to talk about film. Because some people,
no.
the way certain things, some people just are really, good at certain things. Like they could do,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I could never do a podcast about history. I'd be so bad at that. Whereas Steve could just sit there and do it
Yeah,
very easily. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of something he's naturally good at.
yeah,
Um, but I think my it's more my interests in the topics than the educational side of things
yeah.
that has brought me to this place that you wanted to do this as well, which it's really unusual because like a lot of my friends won't talk about true crime and horror films, so you did, and I was like, be my friend now, Emily.
Let's do
Even
this.
though we were friends, be
I
more of a friend.
It's so bizarre because I forget that people can't talk about that area of,
Yeah.
you life, film, whatever sometimes. Um I just and sometimes you start a conversation about it. You can see the horror of people's
Yeah.
faces. You're like, oh yes, okay.
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
that's
the kind
my
of person that can have
friends.
this conversation.
That's definitely my friends. They're not into it at all. But that's fine. You can't force it because it's not, you can turn around to someone and go, I really want to watch Ghostbusters, watch it. But you can't say, I really want to watch Monster, watch it because you know what I mean, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something, one of the other ones we're doing.
Yeah.
It's just doesn't work that way.
Sure. And it's strange to me thinking back that I probably was one of those people in my late teens.
Yeah.
I wasn't someone that could watch horror movies. Like I was, you're out there, getting horror movies off the shelves as a kid. I was frightened of the Star Trek intro. Like I used to hide behind the pillow whenever the fucking ship bombed off. Um,
Do you want
yeah,
to hear
I
the
was
crazy thing though about horror
fine.
films and me? They
Yeah.
terrify me.
Really?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
I still
frightened.
sleep with a nightlight.
I do
I'm
you really?
52. I still sleep with a nightlight. I cannot sleep in a pitch black room. So it's it's
Probably
one of
because you've
those
been watching
things.
all those horror movies.
Exactly, it's from a young age. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's the therapist in you. Yeah, I think that's the strange thing. But I'm very much one of these people when it's stuff I don't understand. So I don't understand. Like I can't get my head around the fact that someone would go out and do the things they do, as in,
Yeah.
murder a bunch of people. I just, even though I can sit and read about it and, we can look at the psychology behind it, there's always that element in me where I'm like, what? How? Like, because I can never imagine myself doing it. You
But
know
I
what I
think
mean?
that's the difference.
Yeah.
I think most people can't, right? But
Yeah.
but a lot of people will go, no, I can't even comprehend that in my
Yeah.
brain.
Whereas
Don't
I'm
want to
like,
talk
I
about it,
need
don't
to
want to sit
know.
with it.
Yeah.
Whereas both of us will go, why?
Yeah.
We're why, and I've got that from my parents as a kid. Oh
Yeah.
God, you were such a why child. Why all this? Why
Yeah.
that? I
Yeah.
was a very curious person, very curious as a kid. And I've always been really fascinated by the human
Mm,
mind. I just find it,
yeah. I
and
love
similar to you.
psychology is like
Yeah,
my favorite thing.
I find people fascinating. I do
Yeah.
find, just human experience
Yeah.
generally. Because, I think it's just sometimes, you know, I haven't had the easiest life, also haven't had a difficult life either.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, everyone has varying degrees of whatever. Um, but there are moments in my life where I probably could have gone down different paths, maybe not serial killer paths or
Yeah.
anything like that.
That's good.
Thank goodness.
Don't kill Steve.
Um, he's okay. But yeah, I think you just sort of it's interesting, isn't it? Like for me, it's around attachment and that those
Mm,
early sort of attachment years with because there's always mums and sons. My goodness,
yeah. Oh
and
God.
we talk about it. in psychology as well. But I mean yeah, it's there, isn't it, in the
Yeah. Yeah.
making of serial
Yeah.
killers so often because it's such an important relationship. And yeah, just it fascinates me. I do find it really, really fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that's why doing this is kind of a good thing because it gets it out your system talking about it. And plus we're going to watch all these great movies, but also be sad that they're real. You know,
100%. Yeah.
that's the sad thing. It's like you're watching it and it's kind of that line, isn't it, where, are you entertained? And I that's why I struggle with some like the monster stuff, as in, the Ed Gein and Gein and Dharma and stuff, because it feels very I'm going to entertain you. Whereas like
Yeah.
I don't feel like Monster was necessarily entertaining me, and I don't feel like we did Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They didn't necessarily like Ed Gein wasn't a character. It was just we've taken this from his life and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But when they do it, like when it's blatantly like this Gein Dahmer, like they're Menendez, and you're like it's not meant to be all flashy and bells and whistles. This is a terrible story. Like, do you know what I mean? So I
Yeah. And
struggle with
yeah.
those, but we will do them. We will
Yeah.
do them, but I
It,
haven't
it's
watched them.
an it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because, in some senses, the focus is on the wrong person.
Yeah,
The focus should be on
victims.
either the survivors or the
Yeah,
victims
yeah,
that aren't here today. Those are the people that need to be highlighted. And I guess, as we go along, we'll try and do that
yeah,
at points just to
yeah,
make sure that we are naming people
yeah,
that
yeah. Because you do. I mean,
deserve to
some of
be
them.
remembered.
Yeah, and I mean we have mentioned names and stuff, but some of them it's like, I mean, if you look into Gary Ridgway, he's so many, like some of them have killed so many, and it's just trying to get all the names and get them in there and stuff like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's you know these people we're talking about are absolute scum of the earth. Like it's as simple as that, you
Yeah.
know. And I think that's always something that we should keep in mind. But we do have a lot of episodes that we're, going to be doing and covering. And yeah, we hope you join us in that. But we just thought we'd have a little chat and tell you how we got there and our thoughts on horror movies and true crime.
Yes.
And then we combine them,
Yeah.
which is the
And if
best
anyone
way.
has any recommendations,
Yeah, let
then
us know.
send them. Yeah, because I think this is the thing. It'll be a really nice. I'm hoping it'll be nice. A nice combination with
Mm,
us in the sense that
yeah,
I'm still very much learning about a lot.
me
Um,
too. Yeah,
you know, whereas you'll be a little bit more experienced in the knowledge front of a lot of these
just remembering
film
it.
and documentaries. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, cool.
I hope you like
Well,
it.
hope you like it. And yeah, if you do have any suggestions, you can always email us at theroomwentdark@gmail.com. And we're on TikTok and Instagram as The Room Went Dark. All right, bye.
Bye.